What's up guys, my name is Jason Rodriguez and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this week we're going to be talking about Puerto Rico. As if you've been watching my previous videos, I mentioned that I moved to Puerto Rico about a year ago. And one thing that caught my attention was that when I was moving here last year, I was doing some research in the island, like, how's life over there? What are some good areas I can move into, this and that. And I felt like I didn't really find a lot of information. So hopefully if you're one of these people who was trying to move out of the States and you want to live into, you're thinking into moving into Puerto Rico, hopefully this gives you an idea of where to look and how's life over here. So let's start off with housing. Housing, I think, is the number one thing you should have on your to-do list if you're planning to move to Puerto Rico. You have either two options: you can either buy or you can rent. From what I've heard and from the research that I made, and I've been watching the news and stuff, there's not a lot of inventory here in the island when it comes to buying property. Why is that? So it's around 68% of Puerto Ricans are homeowners. That means a really big portion of the island. The rest of the properties that are available to buy, they have skyrocketed the past few years due to a lot of people moving into the island, because a lot of people are doing the Airbnb business. Now, this has obviously affected the local economy here. People are being priced out of their areas. They're having to move into, more outside of the metro area in the island, or move somewhere else where it's cheaper. And the reason why a lot of people have been doing the Airbnbs is because, I don't know if you're aware, I don't want to go much into detail, but there's this law here. It's an incentive for, basically, if you're from the States, for people that want to move into the island. It's called Act 60. To summarize, it's basically an incentive, tax-free for those that are decide to move to the island, live here for a few years, and open up businesses. I'm not really well documented on the topic, but from what I understand, it's basically you don't have to pay any taxes.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And the bad thing is that it doesn't apply to locals. It only applies to people from outside of Puerto Rico. So you can be Puerto Rican and benefit from this law. Renting. So if you're deciding to rent, you can find places. It all depends on where you want to move. If you're the type of person who you don't speak Spanish and you want to be, in the touristy spots, good places for you could be Isla Verde, Condado. What else? To some extent, I would say Guaynabo. So yeah, in those areas, if you're looking into those areas, rent, it's usually a little bit higher than the rest of the metro area, because you have the beach right outside your doorstep. If you live in Condado, you literally have everything you can think of. It's full of tourists. You don't even have to live that little area to buy anything you need. Anything you need, it's like in a 2-mile radius. So a lot of people, from outside, they're like, I want to live somewhere close, somewhere where there's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of clubs, a lot of bars, restaurants. So a lot of people, when they start looking into the city, I'm talking about if you want to move into the city. If you want to move into the city, like I said, Condado, it's basically Miami Beach. It's like a Miami Beach with Puerto Rico area mixed together, and that's the baby you get. Old San Juan, it's also, you get the old European vibes. There's obviously a lot of tourists in the Old San Juan area. Parking can be a struggle. I'm not gonna lie, it can be a struggle if you decide, to buy a car here. But other than that, and rent, obviously, since it's so touristy, it's usually pricier than the rest of the metro area. Guaynabo, like I mentioned, Guaynabo, it's not on the beach. It's more centered, but it's like the preppy part of the city. A lot of people, they have a nickname here called Guaynabichi, because they usually are the ones that speak English and they live a little bit more high end than the rest. Again, if you're someone that is looking to move into somewhere secure and you don't speak that much Spanish and you want to feel a little bit more comfortable with your surroundings, those areas are English oriented. People speak English. Again, the official language of Puerto Rico, I believe, is Spanish. I'm guessing it's Spanish. Not everyone speaks English. Obviously, you can find people that do speak English. It's not something that you can find everywhere you go. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, and I was speaking about the metro area. You're also looking If you're looking to move here and you just want to move somewhere where it's secured, it's safe to drive around at night or walk around, and you don't want to be right in the center of all the parties and all the touristy areas, Atorrey, it's a really good spot. It's basically like the financial sector here in San Juan. A lot of the banks are there, like Banco Popular has its headquarters there, and many other banks and other financial institutions. So you might want to look into Atorrey. Trujillo Alto is also a really good area. Trujillo Alto is like basically divided into like two. It depends where Trujillo Alto, but if you do your research, Trujillo Alto is a really good area to move into. So is Coupé. It's more laid back than San Juan, not much censored. Where like in the hills. Bayamon, it's also a good area. If this is my personal opinion, if I were to move here for the first time, I would try to avoid places like Rio Piedras. I would avoid Cataño. I would avoid Puerto Nuevo. Those are areas that a lot of locals live here, and they're great. I mean, I have a few friends in Rio Piedras, and also there's some local businesses that I visit. Actually, my barber works at Puerto Nuevo. But the reason why I say you should probably, if you're not really familiar with the area, you will want to stay outside of those areas. It's because usually they're more unsafe than the rest, I would say. So do your research. If you're looking into moving into those areas, do your little research before you decide to move there. Again, they're not bad, they're great places to live, but they do have certain areas where they're sketchy. Carolina is also another place you can look into. It's where a lot of reggaetoneros are from. First one that comes to mind, I believe, is Raul Alejandro. There's a lot of places in Carolina that are very secured, safe. It has its own mall. It's close to the airport. So those are things you might be wanting to look into. Now, if you're looking to move into the outside of the city, you're like, oh, I don't want to live in San Juan. San Juan is too touristy. There's a lot of traffic, this and that. A lot of Americans are moving to Aguadilla and the Rincon area. That's towards the west coast of the area of the island. It's beautiful. I understand why people move into, you're not in the city. Beaches are beautiful. There's a lot to do. It's very laid back. So if you're looking to move into Puerto Rico, you're like, you know what, I don't want to deal with the city. I just want something laid back. I want to move into get a house, rent a house. I want my backyard. I want to be close to the beach. I want to be close to everything and not have to take a long commute. Then you might want to look into those areas. There's a lot of tourists, like I said. Also Fajardo, which is towards the east side of the island, is also a place where I've seen a lot of people move. Yeah, but do your research when it comes to that. Rent prices, again, it depends on the area. If you're looking into the Condado, Isla Verde, and Guaynabo area, or Old San Juan, Viejo San Juan, expect to pay a little bit more. You can still find something between the 1,200 and maybe the 2,000s for a good, 2-3 bedroom apartment. If you're looking outside of those areas, you might find something cheaper. For example, I have a 3-bedroom apartment right now, and now I pay less than $1,000, and it's in a safe area. I mean, I'm basically like 8 minutes away from the airport. I have the mall San Juan about 6 minutes away. I'm literally centered everywhere. Like, I'm right in the middle of the city. I have the beach 10 minutes away. I'm not right up. I mean, the beach is not right outside of my doorstep, but it's really close. In car ride, I can take like about 10 minutes to get to the beach. Also, yeah, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Outside of the metro area, I'm not really sure how rents are, but I would say they are cheaper. I've seen in some websites, Puerto Ricans use a lot, which is the website clasificados.com. That's a website. It's basically like Craigslist. You can find from jobs. You're looking to get a pet. If you're looking to buy anything, you go to Clasificados. Clasificados is the spot. From what I've seen in Clasificados, I've seen houses for $600, $700 in Coupé. Not in Coupé. In Caguas, in Calle, Humacao, Toa Baja, Toa Alta. So do your research. Just expect that the closer you are to the beach and the touristy areas, the more you're gonna pay. It's still cheaper. You get more for your money. I mean, you can. I don't think you right now you can find an apartment in, let's say, because I just moved from Florida a year ago, so I don't think you can find something in Miami right by the beach for less than 3,500, if that. I don't think that's the thing anymore. I mean, if you look into Miami Beach, Sunny Isles, South Beach, even Hollywood, I don't think if you want to look something like to have the beach right in your doorstep, I highly doubt you're gonna find something for less than $3,500. Here, you can still find something in the, $1,600 range, 2,000, 2,500. It all depends on the building, the apartment, the property you're buying or renting in this case. You can still find something great for less than $2,000. Now let's talk about transportation. Transportation here, I wouldn't depend on public transportation just because it's not that reliable. I haven't used it, to be honest, but from what I've seen, the routes here, they don't really go everywhere. Then that's talking about the city. Let's say you decide to move outside of the metro area and you find a job here in the metro area, you need a car. You need a car because, like I said, public transportation here is not the best. It's not reliable. If you do get a car, think long term. What do I mean by that? Don't move here. If you decide to move here for, I don't know, 2-3 years, I would recommend not investing much in a car. Just get something cheap, a used car. And why is that? Because the streets, they have holes. They're not very well maintained, and that can damage the cars. So I just feel like it's not worth to invest a lot of money in a car that you might have to keep, investing in maintenance all the time due to the roads here. No, I'm not saying that every road here in Puerto Rico is bad. They have a lot of, for the most part, they're good. And for the most part, outside of the metro area. But a lot of the places here in metro area, the pavements they're not well kept. I have seen that they've tried to keep it up. At least the mayor of the city is actually doing something. But again, it's election year, so what can you expect? That's the least they're gonna do. So as I was saying, if you're gonna invest in a car, just think about it. I recommend just getting something cheap, something used, just so you won't fit in your pockets. Let's talk about jobs. There's not an abundance of great jobs here. It is what it is. I mean, the median household salary in Puerto Rico is like $21,000. So you can imagine how jobs are. If you have a job, if you work from home and you're able to just, work from anywhere without a problem, great. Keep that job. Don't move here without telling your boss, because I've seen people moving, to places and not even informing their employer, and then they end up, getting fired, and then that's not something I recommend. So I do recommend you, if you're gonna move to Puerto Rico and you work from home, let them know. Also, but if you're gonna look for a job here in Puerto Rico, I believe the minimum wage is like $9 or $10 an hour. Just so you can have an idea of how jobs are in the island. Not a lot of jobs pay well. When I moved here, I actually quit my job in Florida and I decided to move here. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna find something here. I have experience, this and that. So I decided, I was looking, and it took me like 3 months to find my job. And thank God I landed something good. I landed something, that pays well. But that's not the case for most people. I mean, I've seen people here with bachelor's degree. I mean, I've seen in Clasificados, I've seen in Indeed and LinkedIn, and what they're offering. Most of the jobs here, they start off paying like $11 an hour, $12 an hour, $13 an hour. Actually, at my job, I have a few people that studied nursing here, and nurses here, they start off with $16. I mean, we're talking about the pay gap. It's ridiculously compared to the States. Some nurses start with like $25, $26 an hour. Here, they're getting 15, 16. Talking about people that have a bachelor's degree. So that's something you should keep in mind. Jobs here, they don't pay well. Obviously, I'm not saying you're gonna move here, you're gonna find a job that pays well. You can find something good, because there are jobs out there, but you need the connections. So be realistic. I recommend, if you decide, if you have made up your mind that you're like, you know what, Puerto Rico is a spot, start looking. I recommend, which is something I should have done, start looking for something to work from home, just so you can have something set up. You have something by the time you arrive here, and if not, I will start applying a good 2 3 months before I to Puerto Rico. And if you have to come here for a job interview before end up moving here, do that, because jobs here, well-paying jobs here, they're stars. They don't pay that well. So be smart about it, plan ahead, and keep that in mind. Now let's talk about the people, the weather, entertainment. Let's talk a little bit about that. What is there to do here? Again, this is an island in the Caribbean. You got beaches, you got mountains, you got rivers, you got anything you can think of. If you're more of a city person and you want to, you like malls, you like shopping, there's like 3 4 really big malls here in the city. They have everything you can think of. All the stores, most of the I would say all the stores that are over there in the States, you can find them here. Every single one of them. If you want some high-end stores, you can go to Mall San Juan. If you want something mid-range, you can go Plaza Las Americas. If you want something more so the same, you can go to Plaza Carolina. If you're the ones to buy in outlets, there's like, I don't know how many outlets throughout the whole island. So if you're more of a shopping person, you're not gonna have a problem with that. If you're more into the beaches and outside activities, you can always go to the beaches here. There's beaches all around the island. They're public beaches, so you have access to every single beach in the whole island. As far as I'm aware, here even in San Juan, you don't even have to go. A lot of people, they like going outside of the metro area to go to the beaches. They like going to Fajardo, Rincón, Cabo Rojo, Aguadilla, Ponce, Humacao. People love going to the outskirts of the city, but I personally believe that even the beaches here in San Juan, they're pretty great. I don't think there's a beach, and I'm saying from someone that comes from Florida, I don't think there's a beach in Florida that can top any beach here in Puerto Rico, and that's even including in San Juan. If you want to go to a great beach in San Juan, you can go to any beach in Carolina. You can go to even the beach of Isla Verde. The beaches there, they're great. The water is warm. The vibes are great. The sand feels like real sand. There's music everywhere. There's people, there's people selling little snacks in the beach on the side. You can buy quesito, you can buy bacalaito, you can buy, what's the other one called? Man, I forgot. Pinchos, etc. You can buy a bunch. There's a variety of stuff you can buy by the beach, which just gives it like a plus, because I feel like not every beach in the state has places you can buy food or little drinks. I mean, yes, if you, for example, in Miami, you go to South Beach, you can just go to the Ocean Drive, or if you're by more towards the north of Miami and Hollywood, you can go to the Hollywood Boardwalk. But let's say you're like by, I don't know, Sunny House, you can't really go outside of the beach. I mean, you can't go buy anything by the beach because there's nothing to buy. I mean, unless you want to go outside by Collins and you want to buy, I don't know, a pizza or something, or go to McDonald's. But again, if you're the type that you like hiking, there's mountains here. I haven't done it yet. Something I want to do in my bucket list, but that's an option. If you're more of a river type of person, there's a bunch of rivers. There's a yunque, So there's many options for entertainment here. It's not like there's not. So you won't get bored. It's very hard for people to get bored here just because there's a lot of options and stuff to do that I feel like there's a little bit of everything for everyone. And mind you, the weather helps a lot. It's warm all year round. It gets a little chilly throughout, from November till February. Not a lot. I mean, high 60s, low 70s, but overall the weather here is pretty great. Can't complain. So I think that's about it. I think I covered the basics. If you're someone who's looking to move here, you just want a little bit more in-depth information, you can always do your research, obviously, but I just wanted to give those who are looking into moving. Oh, another thing. Something that you should take also into consideration. the healthcare system. The healthcare system here is not the best. So that's something to keep in mind if you have children. Don't come here expecting that the healthcare system is the best, because it's not. But I feel like that's about it. I just wanted to give you more of an insight of what it's like living here in the island. Don't come here expecting this is perfect, because it's not perfect, but it's pretty great. What I love about Puerto Rico is just I feel like at home. I mean, I'm not Puerto Rican, I'm Dominican, so we're basically we're neighboring islands. But even so, the people here are so nice. I haven't come across a bad situation here. I felt that if I needed to ask someone for something or for information or even meeting people, they've been pretty nice. They don't. I had a different perception of Puerto Ricans, and once I moved here, they kind of proved me wrong. So that's great. But like I said, I love it here. I mean, I feel like it's the best of both worlds. You have the Caribbean, Hispanic, that warmth that Latino people have on one side, but you also have like the more structured society on the other hand, which comes from the States. Because that's another thing. People need to understand that Puerto Rico is not a U.S. state. It is a Commonwealth. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. They don't have all the benefits that all the states get, since they're not a state yet, which maybe in the future, who knows. But as of now, 2024, Puerto Rico is not a state. But again, yes, that's one thing I like from here. Like I said, it's like the best of both worlds. It's more laid back than the States, but it's still structured, which is something that I feel, me being Dominican, I feel like that's something that's missing in DR. You go to the capital, to Santo Domingo, and it just feels like there's no rules for anything. The traffic is terrible. No respects laws. At least here, I feel like people do follow. I mean, not everyone, obviously. There is crime here. I'm not saying there's not, and everyone follows the rules. But overall, Puerto Rico is way more structured than most of the countries I've been in Latin America, especially my own country. I feel like DR has a problem of people not applying, or the government not applying the rules and the laws to citizens. I feel like everyone is just like, fuck it, whatever, it is what it is. Here, I feel like people fear more the police or the government, you name it. So people tend to follow more the rules as a whole. So basically, I just wanted to go over I just wanted to give you more of an insight what it is to live here in Puerto Rico, just in case if someone comes across this video and you're looking into moving here, you want to do some research. I recommend Clasificados a lot if you're looking for an apartment to rent or a house, jobs, anything you can think of, you can find it there. It's basically like the Craigslist of Puerto Ricans. So check that out. And again, just do your research. I do recommend coming here a few times, at least one or twice before moving. Look in the area. Don't just move here expecting you're gonna find something right away. I've seen a lot of people, because where I work, I deal with people that move into the island. So one thing I do recommend is do your research, and especially if you're looking into buying. Why is that? The problem with from what I've seen, people are like, oh, Puerto Rico's giving this incentive, Act 60, let's just move over there. It's cheaper. I'm paying, I don't know, $2,500 here for an apartment. I can find something over there. I can buy it, and yada, yada, yada. Don't do that. Do your research. Why? Because there's not a lot of inventory for housing. So you end up coming here. I've seen people that come here, they move here, and they spend months looking for a house, and they can't find anything because there is no inventory. Most of the houses that have been bought, they've been used for Airbnbs, or they're asking for a crazy amount of a price for the house that it's not even worth it. So people are like, you know what, I can find something. So they bring all their stuff here, and then they're like, you know what, I didn't find anything. I need to move back to the States. So then they have to pay again to move their stuff back to the States. So I recommend do your research. It's just I feel like it's common sense, but a lot of people I guess they just go with the flow, which there's nothing wrong with it. But just do your research before moving here. Drive around the area, start looking, plan ahead. That's one thing. Plan ahead. Don't just move here thinking you're gonna fix everything in a week, 2 weeks, a month. Things here, the processes here are slow, even for jobs. For some reason, I feel like the background check here takes longer than usual. I had my interview in a month. And from what I've seen, because they've hired other people after me, and most of the people after the interview, they take a whole month and a half to get, officially hired. So plan ahead. Don't leave everything for last minute. Just do your little research. Look at the areas that you might want to look into moving, and that's about it. I'll see you next time, and bye bye.